68 million customers, which I have to say has probably gone up significantly in the past few weeks. Your role, Hari, encompasses a lot of businesses, so please remind us the businesses that you cover.
Sure. So I'm the CIO of our consumer and wealth management businesses. We have the privilege of serving those 68 million customers. We provide them with innovative technology solutions to help make their financial lives better. And as someone wiser than me once said, nobody wakes up in the morning to go banking or gets excited to go banking. So our opportunity is to deliver incredibly great client experiences that makes them feel like banking is integrated into their day-to-day lives, as opposed to having to worry about what banking is all about.
And I want to point out, in addition to the wealth management, you also cover retail, preferred small business. So that's a lot of different groups. Sure. Can you give us an example of how you use tech to integrate these things for your clients?
Yeah, I think it all starts with thinking about the client journey, right? I think one of the mistakes we sometimes make in automation is looking at a 15-step process, picking it up on step 12 through 14, and trying to automate the thing that's probably the easiest to do or the thing that's least relevant to the client. So what we try to think about is, what does the client eventually want? The same human being is often someone who's got a credit card, i.e. a retail client, has a high net worth relationship with us, may own a small business. And so when we think about technology solution, it starts with creating core capabilities. Think about identity, think about access, think about personalization, think about data. Creating core capabilities that can then be rapidly assembled with a client experience and client journey in mind.
And with banking, even though you cover tens of millions of customers and you have this omni-channel, people expect banking to be a personal relationship. So I know that as you grow technology, you also have to make sure that people don't feel they are just a number or a data point. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, right? Going back to delightful customer experiences. It starts with insights, it starts with analytics, but it also starts then with responsible use of data. So we always make sure that we ask for customers for permission of what data we have of theirs that we can use. Once we have that opt-in, we then create intelligent experiences that are based upon knowing who you are and being able to provide you with interesting insights about how your financials are. The favorite for me always was being told that my son's gym membership suddenly charged him 3 times for the same fee one month. And I go like, whoa, did he actually sign up for 3 gyms? And turns out they made a mistake, but I probably would not have seen it for a couple of statements. But instead, here was Erica, an AI-driven chatbot we built 5 years ago that was giving me a piece of insight. And by the way, we have now had Erica used by 1 billion transactions across our client base, telling me something that made me go, wow, someone's looking out for my financials. See, it's about understanding a client's data. It's making sure you're responsible about the use of that data. And then on top of it, creating an intelligent client experience that makes you go, wow, this company cares about me.
This wasn't submitted by the audience, but I can hear the questions now. Please tell Erica not to report those 3 pairs of shoes that look alike, or those 3 golf clubs that perhaps I did not need. Speaking about the data and responsible use of data and the growth, BOA, Bank of America, has a mission of responsible growth strategy, and technology is part of that. Explain that, because all the businesses that are represented in this room today and the ones that are joining us virtually, that has to be the mission for most companies, responsible growth.
Yeah, maybe I can break it down. We start with growth, and there's 2 dimensions to it: increase revenue, reduce expenses. If you think about revenue, it's really about cost of acquisition. How do you introduce customers and clients to products in a way that's personalized to them, to your point of personalization? How do you make it so easy to actually apply for something that, gee, why would I ever go somewhere else when I already have a relationship with you? And so similarly, you can pull the thread on revenue. On expense, back to the client journeys, how many of us look in the mirror and say, man, I got a client journey that end-to-end takes so much paper, humans, and manual processes. You start with the end-to-end journey, you figure out what to automate starting with the client experience, and you start making an impact on the expense side of it. The responsible part is where you think about some of the topics we've talked about: privacy, security, bias. We can do many, many things that we will choose not to do because it is not in the best interest of our clients. We don't believe it's a responsible use of AI. We will choose not to do them. It may be a cool whiz-bang experience that maybe some small company can offer. We're not going to go there. We're going to always make sure we're responsible in the use of our technology, the use of our data, the use of our models to deliver a great client experience.
Speaking of that client experience, because we have the privilege right now of just looking at this very specific industry, this very specific bank, you talk about the client journey, and I want to remind people that this is a business where demand and need changes as that client goes along. You know, you're born, you don't even have a bank account, then you get that first job, you start saving, and then it's college, and then it's your first job, it's your mortgage, it's paying for expenses, emergencies, and such. So how do you use technology to keep up with the changes of a client who is constantly changing?
Well, let me actually answer a separate interesting thing we learned in the pandemic. There are client demographic that we once thought would never adopt digital, right? We used to always say, like my mom would never open up a PC. She could not figure out how to double click on a mouse. Yeah. She just couldn't. Now give her, during the pandemic, she needed to check something, teach her how to use a mobile phone, biometric authentication, ask Erica, how much did I spend on groceries? She's using it all the time. So what we saw in the pandemic is demographics such as the boomers and seniors that we thought technology had left behind had the biggest spike uptick in the usage. So the area of client experience where we get to envision how people who've been left behind, and we talk a lot about equality, equity, demographics, it's really, really important for us as a company to cater to everybody. And what we found is with the transformation, with unfortunate things like the pandemic, it has really democratized access to knowledge, to education, to capability. So that's one. The second is we built platforms like something we call LifePlan. LifePlan is a platform we can go in and don't just interact with us transactionally. Tell us what your plans in life are. Your plan may be to retire in 5 years. Maybe you want to travel the world. My plan, maybe I want to pick up a sport and then I want to take care of whatever it may be. We want our customers opting in and telling us what their life plan are. We've had millions of customers do that. And we can now use that as information to generate the next set of personalized experiences because your life plan is different from my life plan. So it's sort of that ongoing, know where the client is, know what their life plans are, know where they're in their journey, detect the insights that are appropriate to them, and create the customer experience.
Let's talk about data now, because these conversations around automation have to touch upon the increasing amount of data that all companies are dealing with right now, whatever industry you're in, protecting that data, managing it. And we heard in the other conversation, cybersecurity. So let me just first ask about managing data. For a bank with that many customers, when you're talking about 68 million, that's a lot of data to manage.
That's why I'm looking so tired today.
I hope all 68 of those personal
right.
data points are.
Yeah. Look, I think they're table stakes for what we have to do. All the cool innovation and AI bots are all great, but the table stakes are security and resiliency and availability of information. You know, our customers don't expect us to be a 7 by 23.5. They expect that, oh, I see a check lying around, it's 2 in the morning, I can't sleep, I want to deposit it. I just thought of this thing I want to plan for. I'd like to do it now. And so when I think about things like security, when I think about privacy, when I think about bias, when I think about availability, these are table stakes. You don't get to do cool tchotchkes if you don't get those things right. And so I think in everything we do, we pick up the problem with how do we keep our customers safe and sound. Back to the responsible word. Responsible is the first word, not growth, right? Right after that comes the growth part.
So with this protection of data,
Yep.
and we're talking about the adoption of new projects, you, of course, sit in a technology role. So you see these things and you feel a need for it. Let's talk about that adoption. To the customer, it is a challenge, you know, your mother adopting Erica, but for your colleagues, in order to make the customer experience better, you have to say to your colleagues, I'm going to need you to buy into these new projects. So can you explain how an organization as massive as Bank of America, how do you come up with these new ideas and get that buy-in to say, let's do this, let's do that?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. One is we are always listening for client feedback. You know, whether all internal teammates, we listen to call center calls. We listen to what customers are telling us. We listen to page level feedback on our applications. Those are also data sets to process, right? We look at we survey our customers randomly every week. We look at the input coming out of that surveys. And we look at a common base of what are our customers telling us. That's number one. The second thing in terms of getting buy-in is, look, basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs is nobody wants to do mundane activities when they can be doing more meaningful activities. So for example, if you're processing a client request, maybe last year you used to spend the first 15 minutes of the job hunting and pecking 4 different systems to say, I need to look up this key and then find this, I gotta go here, look up this thing. Then I'm gonna put it together and I'm gonna munge it and then I'm gonna apply my human judgment to process this thing. Well, what if the machine could help you bring the information together in an automated fashion, bring that together with a score that then lets you focus your time and effort on judgment, not on mundane work? I think most of our teammates are incredibly excited of the fact that they want to do value-added work as opposed to the mundane work. So that's a great lever for us to build in engagement.
And hopefully, as that employee is doing all that, the customer's not waiting on the phone.
Absolutely.
Because that would be really awful.
Well, in fact, one of the things talking about insight and prediction is as the call comes in, and as the customer is authenticated, you can now pop the screen. We have predictive insights that says the reason Janet's calling you is we just saw a fraud decline on her card 13 minutes ago. And let me route you to the right person. And so when you pick up the call saying, Jen, are you calling about that fraud decline? So there is a ton of the feedback loop to be predictive in every step of your process in the client journey. Again, starts with that client journey in mind.
Yeah, and that's amazing because if anyone has a fraud alert, you're not calling in a good mood or with a lot of patience. I want to stay for a moment on the employee experience, even though we're talking about customers, because it is important right now for all companies to improve the workforce experience because that employee is just going to leave. So are you finding actual feedback that your employees are saying, I'm not doing a job that was as mundane or tiresome or tedious as before? Are you finding the work experience is improving?
I think there's absolutely a clamor for things that drive more automation. There is more and more reluctance to work in processes that are not optimized. And so when we think about our internal work around operational excellence, and we actually have a program called Operational Excellence, it starts with understanding client journeys across every line of business, documenting them, understanding where there are manual touch points, understanding where there are handoffs, and actually taking steps to say, how do we optimize the most effective part? So back to my example, don't optimize steps 12 through 14 if that's not where the pain is. It turns out that in step 1, if the client could just do one thing, and in step 6, the associate could just collect one more piece of information, the entire process crumbles. That is just so hugely impactful versus picking the problem with each person in their silo doing that. And our teammates are extremely excited. There are so many ideas coming in around operational excellence right now, all pivoted on this construct of a client journey.
Do you have a lot of the ideas coming from, I know you listen to client feedback, complaints, praise, everything, which is always good for any company, but do you have a lot of your own employees coming up with ideas?
Absolutely. We have many different forums in which we do that. On the business side of it, we're always getting feedback from the field as to what our clients are telling us. We're hearing from them as to what their pain points are. The other cool thing we do is, as part of our agile sprints, we'll actually get tech and line of business teams to come together and say, let's mock up a bunch of proof of concepts. Let's just figure out what the art of the possible is, right? If you remember last year, the metaverse was going to take over the world, and I'm surprised we're not all wearing augmented reality glasses right now.
Next year.
Next year? Okay, great. Look, I think we had our reservations, but we said, like, we shouldn't be afraid of learning. And so our teams got together and we prototyped within 3 days a ton of interesting experiences, all of which were awesome technically, but no single human client wanted. And we said, great, we know how to do this stuff. Let's put this on the side. Let's go figure out what clients want. So as these things come about, we're always listening to clients, we're also listening to employees, and then coming together across tech and business to create these proof of concepts. And often, Erica, as I mentioned, did I say 1 billion transactions? Yeah, I did.
Billion transactions, yeah.
It came out of this innovation session 5 years ago, where we said, look, clients are telling us, you got jamming so much stuff on a 5-inch screen. How do I navigate this thing? Well, what if you could teach it to talk in a human language?
Has Erica only been around for 5 years?
Yeah.
For some reason, does it seem to you? I felt that she was maybe like Alexa. She's been in our lives a lot longer. Very, very interesting. So yes, indeed, your mother and many people never thought they would be interacting with a virtual assistant. I'm going to ask you about some forward-looking ideas in a moment. But first, I'm going to ask you to pivot back a bit because we need to address a few issues that are, again, common pain points to people in this room. So one is security, because again, this is our money, hard work, earned money, and what we're saving for the big things in our lives to improve our lives. So just can you quickly talk about how automation is helping you protect the customer?
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, we have standards around every part of security. You know, whether how secure data is stored, how data is transported, how data is used. We have well-defined standards against all those things. And no project goes in unless it actually goes through that standardization process. We call it secure by design. The idea is you don't add security as an after fact, you actually add it in design, you automate every step of the way. And it's just fundamental to every project that we run. And you don't get to go live with something unless you've actually gone through that process.
Because mistakes are not allowed. And a related question, banking is difficult because you have so many standards and protocols and they're not uniform. Where you are doing business has different laws, different rules. And I also want to ask you about that because that is a challenge and a problem that humans cannot manage on their own. It is just too much. It's too big of a problem. So talk a little bit about how you use that.
Well, tell me a little bit more.
For automation, as far as, like if you're doing business in different areas of the country, and also we're talking about different laws and such, and also not always the workforce to deal with it. So just like cybersecurity, just the business of doing banking just has a lot that has to
well, you know, as it was mentioned in the previous panel, right, there are certain things we're just going to be slow at. We're not looking to be first to market. We're going to look to be best in market, right? I think part of that responsibility is we have to understand the laws, rules, and regs. So we could, for example, pick some new AI tchotchke and say, wow, it looks awesome and what a great demo, but we're not sure if California, you can kind of peel these layers and pretty quickly get into trouble. So our view is, just like there's a secure by design on the technology side, there's a very rich, robust process of governance on the business side to have all of our legal risk compliance partners in there, opining on the legality, the rules and regulations. And if we need to go slower, we'll go slower. We are never, ever going to press the accelerator just to be first to market. It's always going to be done with client protection legality in mind.
The last couple minutes of our conversation, which, thank you, I'm enjoying immensely, is to look forward. Banking services, banking is a business that touches everybody. And I just want to ask you about some of the trends or some of the innovations that you see over the next few years, maybe the next Erica, or how will our relationship with banking be changing?
You know, I think you touched on it earlier with personalization, right? I think we are just scratching the surface of personalization. I think the ability for us to better anticipate need, especially as you now start telling us about your life plan, as we understand other signals that are coming in and more signals come through and you, again, opt into the permission behind it. I think personalization is, at the end of the day, the way in which you connect banking as a service into your day-to-day financial lives and the day-to-day life.